Greetings. So I have been playing a little bit of Millennia recently, a couple times on stream and a little bit offline. I played 22 hours as my and earned one damn achievement. Think about that. So 22 hours I played. Uh, Certainly not enough to get a full vision of the game. In fact, I've really started. Sorry, closing this door. I've typically done what I've done in most 4X games, which is I often start the beginning sort of several times to sort of get a feel for that and try to get a good start until I understand the game enough to then start playing. Right, so I will play the beginning over and over and over and over and keep stretching that out a little. What the beginning is kind of, and that's sort of how I learn most of these games, 4Xs or grand strategies, paradox games, stuff like that, is by just sort of repeating that beginning part until I feel comfortable enough with it to then move on. And so I haven't gotten super far. I've gotten through the first like 4 ages or right. Um, so halfway through ish, I think the game for the most part. Um, so this is not a comprehensive review. It is sort of a first impression. And I will say I have been enjoying Millennia. I bounced off it very hard on the demo, I think. I played the demo and I was like, I don't love this. But against my better judgment, again in the more money than sense category, keeping in mind I don't have that much money, so think about that, what that means. I bought it anyway, thinking, well, it might be fun, play on stream a couple times, right? It's a new Civ kind of games. You're not going to see a Civ for a while just to see what it's like. So I've played it more, given it more of a chance. And I like it, but I do understand. I do see sort of where it's a little difficult to get into, and I think some of that is just because the way the rules feel is a little bit haphazard, in the sense that Millennia is very upfront about that it's a currency spending game, right? You earn currency and spend it. You earn currency and spend it. You earn, right? And I think every 4X game is largely like this. In Stellaris, you have energy and you have minerals, and then you make consumer goods and you make alloys, right? And you have the special stuff for later on, and you earn that stuff and make it and you spend it. Millennia is very upfront about this, and they have a ton of different currencies, though, right? Unlike a Civ, where you don't have as many currencies, or unlike a Stellaris, where you have 4 primary currencies to deal with. Millennia has. I'll just load a game. Millennia has quite a few, right? Millennia has. Well, we'll look at the UI here in a second, but it has like a dozen, right? And then there's also a bunch of meters to deal with too, right? But you have, and this is an early game too. It's not even sort of later. I need another game that has more, but yeah, right. So you have, here we go. Let's go to turn 86 and we'll look at. So I think Millennia just has a ton of these currencies. The interplay between them and the map and the improvements isn't necessarily super apparent, right? So here you can see, right, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 currencies right down here in the domains. You also have culture, you also have research, you also have production over here. You have wealth up here in the upper right. You have 2 meters, chaos and innovativeness, which aren't quite currencies, but they are meters. And then down here, and you can't see it because I'm in a windowed mode, down here at the far bottom left, you have improvement points. So, and I don't know, there might be more currencies as you get through the later ages. I don't know yet, actually, because I've not seen that later half of the game. I haven't seen ages 5, 6, and 7, and so on, right? They're currently locked. Uh, but you can see that I am earning and spending down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 production, 11, almost a dozen currencies. And again, I think it's a little bit hard sometimes to figure out how these things all play together and how you seg from one to the other. Like, especially if you said, well, I'm going to become mound builders, then all of a sudden, once you do mound builders, you have a new currency that you haven't earned any of them. And then you have to figure out how to start generating that and get the engine moving on that. And so so at first, I bounced off that very hard, and I did not enjoy that at all. But as I played a little more, I sort of got into that, and I found it fairly enjoyable to sort of understand how to get the engine moving from, government and exploration and warfare to add engineering in to, oh man, I need diplomacy now, and so on and so forth. And so I don't think I think I think it feels like adding a currency was the hammer to which all problems look like nails to the game designers. Um, and so there's a lot of it. And at first I didn't like it, but I sort of grew to enjoy that, right? Enjoy this. I don't think but I do think that it's somewhat opaque. And I do think the UI doesn't help it, right? So uh, for instance, what on here generates diplomacy, if anything? I have to go and hover over. What here generates diplomacy? Don't know. I've got to hover over everything to figure it out. Um, so I don't think the UI necessarily helps its cause very much. And why do I have to scroll? I mean, this is a small list. I should be able to quickly, I should be able to see all of these at once, or even worse, this one. Like this one, at some point later, you'll have to scroll, and I'm like, I don't like scrolling in my games if I don't have to. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I love the goods chains. I like the currencies now, and now that I understand sort of, okay, if I'm going to go for engineering, then I need to start looking at these buildings and these improvements. Once you get that, I think the game is fairly enjoyable. The goods chains, I think, are wonderful. Like the ability to create, oh, I'm creating meat. Oh, I'm creating logs and now lumber. I think that's awesome. I think the warfare is fine. It's as good as any, like a Civ game or whatever. I think all that is fine. We'll see how it gets in the later ages. I think the AI on Adept is pretty aggressive. And so you have to keep a parity of power with them, which again, I think makes some of those national spirits in those early ages difficult to play with. So one thing I don't love is I think a lot of the national spirits are very situational, almost to the point of uselessness on certain maps. Getting stuck with one of those doesn't feel great. Like the Olympians, I don't know that actually works out if you don't do if you do a bigger map. I don't think I don't think it gets you there fast enough. I don't love naturalists, but I am actually going to work on trying a naturalist sort of play once just to see sort of how that feels. Ancient seafarers, obviously super conditional. The engineering ones almost always are decent enough. The hunters are great if you have enough stuff, right? Enough stuff around you. I wish there were a few more national spirits per age that you could choose. I wish there were a few more government types. I don't like the choice between just kingdom and imperial dynasty in the third age. I wish there was a little bit more going on there. Um, but having said that, I think there's a lot to unpack. I think I've come to enjoy the game quite a bit, and I do think it's worth the 40. I think it's worth the $40. And definitely, if it ever goes on sale and you're ever considering, I think it's worth that. Is it better than Civ? I couldn't tell you. I don't know yet. Right? It definitely has its advantages. And right now, I'm not starting a game of Civ, but I would start another game of Millennia. Um, so I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. Decent game. I think the design is hard to get at first and then opens up to you, I think, as you play a little bit more. And we'll see how this goes. We'll see how the later ages play out. So I think I would recommend Millennia to folks. I don't think it's. I think it's going to give me. It's $40. I think it's going to give me 40 hours easy. I'm already 22 in, and I haven't gotten past the first half of the game. So I think it'll definitely give me my $40, and that's sort of my value cutoff, $1 an hour. I think this game gets you there, and so I do recommend it. If you're looking for something that is Civ-like, but that is novel enough, and will get you thinking about some new mechanics. So that's it. Thank you for listening to this ramble on this glorious Sunday morning, and I will talk to you all later.